not take too much of time to now talk about Rotary Wing Society, the technical, what are our achievements. We have a vast field where we are working in with helicopters and with the drones. We'll restrict ourselves to the technical session today, for which we are 4 of us are here. I have 3 more members who are part of this webinar today. Wing Commander SinghDeo is there, who's also the Vice President. We have Lieutenant Colonel Velen, and we have our youngest member, Mr. Aman Johari. And they are the expert in the field and the best you can get. So without wasting time on other formalities, I will request Wing Commander SinghDeo to commence the technical session so that we can focus on the main subject as such. Wing Commander SinghDeo.
Thank you. Okay, I will just begin to share the screen.
Next speaker, please.
I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. So I will just give a short overview of the industry, and then the others will follow suit. What is a drone? Well, on 7th October 2014, by a single order, all civil drones were banned in India. As a result, the industry was set back by 5 years. Now, banned why? As mentioned, that there are rogue drones, there are rogue operators who can harm the society. So there was no way of finding out which are rogue, which are not rogue. So as a result, 6 lakh illegal drones of foreign origin started operating in India. We all have seen marriage parties and functions where drones were taking pictures, videos. All are illegally imported foreign drones. And some of them could have been what we call rogue drones. They were probably mapping our terrain. As of now, terrain mapping on contour mapping is not permitted yet. If you do contour mapping, those software can be fed into missiles, cruise missiles, all kinds of weapons that would come and hit the target. So terrain mapping is not allowed, but then we had no way of knowing. So such illegal activities were probably going on. So anyway, it appears that now we have found a way of identifying and stopping rogue drones. So a new rule has come out now, and drone industry is being encouraged. So presently, classification of drones, earlier it was 300 kg, now it's been increased to 500 kilos. Quite big drones have been allowed now. Their usages are multiple. So vast, I cannot just list it out. By the time I complete a list, maybe there'll be 1 or 2 more coming up. Drone regulations, there are 3 main regulations one should know about. One is the ICAO model UAS regulations. That is, it's a regulation, it's not a rule. So it's up to any member country to follow or not, but it's a guidance material. And then India came out with the unmanned aircraft system rule on 22nd March this year, 2021. And very soon feedback went that these regulations are restrictive. So that is why the drone industry is not going to grow with these. So very soon a committee was set up, feedback was taken from industry, and a new rule came called the Drone Rules 2021, dated 25th of August. Completely revised, and so many good things have happened there. We'll talk about it. And in the drone industry, there are multiple areas of expertise involved in making and operating drones. We'll go a little deeper into it in the next few slides. R&D opportunities exist in several fields. And to give you an example, Uganda as a country missed the information technology. because nobody there wanted cell phones in the remote areas. It was more expensive to put up cell phone towers than to do something else. So they did not, the IT industry quite did not penetrate Uganda. But as we speak today, drones have really gone all over in Uganda. They are connecting the remote villages, and today medicines are being supplied to remote hamlets by drones. So we can see how important it is. We talked about this, the takeaways of the new drone rules. There are two whole slides. I will not go into detail and waste time. I will forward a copy of my presentation and the other two presentations we are going to make, so that this can be referred to by whoever is interested. So this rule is basically built on a premise of trust, self-certification, and non-intrusive principle. All kinds of approvals have been abolished. Now, there were earlier 25 forms to be filled. Now there are only 5 forms to be filled. All fees have been made very, very nominal. And there is something called Digital Sky. This is a platform which has been developed. It shall be developed, but it has been developed and it's ongoing already, where all these friendly drones will be seen and all over India. And friendly drones will be given clearances to fly. So obviously, if there is an unfriendly drone, it will show up here and it will not have an identifying number. So that's how we'll come to know if it's friendly or not. And as per digital sky principles, there will be minimum human interface. No flight permissions will be required up to 400 feet in green zones. Now, earlier there were certain green zones where you could fly drones. Today, there are certain red and yellow zones. The rest of the country is green zones. That is the big change that has come. And if you are using micro drones for non-commercial use and nano drones for anything, and for all R&D organizations, they do not need a pilot license to fly the drones. So this is a great thing. And especially any training institution, R&D organization, they can say, okay, we would like to fly our drones. You don't need a pilot license to do that. I'm happy to inform Mr. Amba Dube has just dialed in. So the moment I finish, we will request Shri Amba Dube to come in and talk. So import of drone tech components, DGFT is there. No security clearance is required for registration and license of drones. This was a big impediment earlier, but not now. And so I'll not go more into details because I'll give you a copy of this presentation for reference if anybody likes to have. What are the multiple usages? Now, these usages of drones are disrupting the legacy business. As mentioned by Sri Siddharthi, that mining is using it in a big way, cinematography, land survey, agriculture, construction, progress monitoring, highways, railways, disaster relief. The list is endless. So what will happen finally? This is in the lighter vein. There'll be D journalism, D police, D agriculture, everything. Just add a D before any business, and then that's where the drone has penetrated today. FICCI has done a study and listed out what are the areas where drones will work. Once again, I'll not go deep into detail, but agriculture and farmer welfare, health and family welfare, Panchayati Raj, defense, home affairs, housing and urban affairs, railways, and housing and urban affairs. You can understand how, if somebody is constructing something, is it an individual or it's a major company making big construction projects? Right from their top management downwards to the field, everybody can monitor the progress on a moment-to-moment basis by drones. And incidentally, the other day somebody was saying, you have CCTV cameras in your buildings for security, but somebody can come and put a bit of atta on the camera and block it. So you will not see, there will be no security. Imagine just 4 drones orbiting your building 24/7. Nobody can stop them from monitoring the security. So all kinds of usages are coming up. So these are the list continues. There's again, I will be giving a copy. Now, some recent activities that are happening. Coal India inaugurated the remote pilot aircraft system at Mahanadi coalfield and inspected mining operations in Talcher. This is all newspaper cuttings I have collected. Okay, it's happening in Odisha and all, but it was created by a Mumbai-based startup for drone manufacturing because we have none in Odisha. Odisha plans to use drones, satellite-based tech to detect hemp cultivation. This was only reported a few days ago in the papers. Now here is another use of drones, changing water sampling worldwide. And this is done and we can do it. It's so easy, right up to the lowest level of activity, drones can be used. Now here is a news, Cyberdrome Kerala project. Kerala Police is setting up India's first of its kind among the law enforcement agencies, drone forensic lab. So this is a news of August. Space tech framework. This is a draft rule coming up in Telangana. Here they are bringing out more and more drone rules. If you look at the market, now why drone, why India, and why now? Why drone is by 2025, 2025, US dollar $125 billion worth of business is going to be there worldwide. That's the green circle. And if you look at India, by the same time, another 4 years, $11+ billion worth of business on drone. This is by Goldman Sachs and Pricewaterhouse World Economic Forum. Size and opportunities of the drone industry, you can see the breakdown. As of 2025, defense is the biggest user, with others being very, very small. And by 2030, defense would have grown, but commercial use of drones would have grown substantially. Drone policy to spawn $20 billion industry by 2030. This is mentioned by the aviation minister in a recent seminar. Now, Ministry of Civil Aviation is giving a production-linked incentive, the much talked about PLI for drones. This is already out and the policy is in place. Now, here is something I must tell you. Yesterday, the Rotary Wing Society of India was invited to a webinar by the government of Madhya Pradesh, chaired by the Principal Secretary of Industries. And amongst various things, they took ideas from us. And this slide was put up. This is what we are offering. Come to Madhya Pradesh and set up drone industry. Tax incentives, infrastructure development assistance, electricity duty exemption, reimbursement of stamp duty, whatever way you can see, they are trying to attract industry, a drone industry, to come to their state. Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGCA, their initiatives, what all they have done, Mahindra & Mahindra, drone-based agriculture, precision spraying. When we talk of spraying, I must tell you here, about 2 years ago, a lot of locusts had come in from our northwest, and they were going to destroy crops in Punjab and Haryana. There was panic all over. And that's the time Sri Ambar Dubey, I have heard that he moved from ministry to ministry and tried to get all kinds of approvals. And he engaged drone companies to go and spray pesticide on those pests. The result, 7,200 crores worth of crops. So here's a list of what all. Then again, the list of positive news happening everywhere. Drone. It's happening in a very rapid and big way. Foreign companies are taking interest now in India because we have the talent pool. So in a big way, they are also sinking in money. And when this money comes in, it's going to help in hiring people, building infrastructure, and things like that, that the downstream effect goes on. Now, here is a news as of yesterday. The Directorate of Plant Protection, Quarantine and Storage, they have set up, here's a public notice for information of applicants, stakeholders regarding registration requirements of pesticides for drone application under various categories. So procedures are being set up by various departments, PSUs, state governments on how the drones will be used, how they'll be tendered and things like that. So it's going to be very much part of our day-to-day work. As we see, we know the steam power came as the first industrial revolution. Mechanization of production started. The second industrial revolution, electric power came and created mass production. Third one was electronics and information technology, which automated production. And now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, which is digital technology. It is changing lives and leading to collaborative innovations like drones. So just like you had, say, mobile phone technology, that changed lives, that did so many other things. And similarly, drone is going to change everything. Probably this revolution will be as big as, if not bigger than, the IT revolution. The ideal scenario is now relaxed regulations in India, economic incentives are available, excellent engineering talent pool available right here in Odisha, and industry platforms that catalyze action on the ground are there. Now let's look at Odisha. These are the states which have got drone testing sites. Drone testing sites are where universities, R&D organizations, private enterprises can go and test out their drones. Very populous country, very difficult to find areas where you can go and freely test your drones. So many states have set up. Telangana was one of the first to set up a drone testing area, invited everybody, come here, test your drones, we'll give you land. Now, if you look at it, there are none in Eastern India. So here is an opportunity we must quickly grab and make out. Say, this is downloaded from what's called the Digital Sky. If you visit digitalsky.com, you can see it's a DGCA website where all drone related stuff is there, and drones are will be controlled, their operations. So if you look at this, these 5 red dots that you see, they are 4 kilometers in diameter, and the yellow ones are 12 kilometers in diameters. These are airports. The red areas, the drones are not allowed to go. Yellow areas, you can go under 400 feet to some extent. Besides that, the rest of it is a green area for Odisha. Absolutely green area. You go to other places, you'll find too many red dots, too many restrictions. But Odisha, I think we are very, very ideally placed now to take a leap into the drone era. For example, drone testing sites. Chilka Lake is a great area for drone testing. Army and Navy bases are in the vicinity, and they will be happy if we test something, and they can also practice detection of drones. Singapore has no land area for drone testing. They have set up a huge drone testing area over the sea. Saptaseja forest, for example, in Dhenkanal, sparsely populated, vast areas unpopulated, can be great areas for drone testing. To wind up the bottom line, Goldman Sachs has done a study, and they are saying here is a $100 billion market opportunity over the next 5 years. Now, I have made so many studies of other forecasts and studies. People say this opportunity is $8 to $10 billion, something is $15 to $17 billion and all. But when it comes to drone studies, no expert is willing to put a top limit to it. It's 40 billions or more. It's 100 billion or more. Nobody says it will be capped at 120 billion or so, because there are so many unknowns. Yes, I must mention here that when mobile phones came, it really revolutionized so many things. It killed the camera industry. Kodak and Party, they do not make cameras the way they used to make anymore because every cell phone has a camera. So nobody knew this would happen. Similarly, when the drones come, we don't know what it is. We know it's something very, very big. So the future, immediate future is UAM, urban air mobility. Now, these are has been referred to by the Civil Aviation Minister as air taxi. So these will carry about 4 passengers, no pilot. They are programmed to fly between 2 points. 2024 certification will be complete in the US, and they will fly from airport to city center. You get off a plane, finish your immigration customs, go to a stand where these air taxis are ready, urban air mobility vehicles are ready. Buy your ticket and go and sit down, and you are flown to city center directly. These are run on electric motors, no pollution, hardly any noise, very, very safe. And the best thing is the cost is the same as an Uber taxi because this doesn't burn fossil fuel. It does not have thousands of moving parts, very low maintenance, electric motors. So this is coming and this is going to happen. And very soon, we will also have what's called advanced air mobility. That will be urban air mobility enhanced. That means they'll be like buses with 18 to 20 passengers running between cities, like, for example, Delhi, Jaipur, or Bhubaneswar, Rourkela, or something like that. Batteries are coming up, electric motors are coming up. This will happen a little after 2024. But 2024, eyes down, and we have 2 manufacturers in India, startup companies, IITians, young people, who are making these urban air mobility vehicles. The picture shown here is none of that because that's a secret so far. They are building it secretly. They will have it certified. Next year, it is going to fly cargo of about 300 kilos. And 2024, they also hope to have it certified so that it can carry passengers. These are big, big things coming up, not just for use, but it's for industry, it's for employment, it's for R&D. So to make drones more popular in USA, the Federal Aviation Authority approached NASA that when drones are used like this, how will the public accept it? And NASA did a research and said, look, you have to educate the public. Otherwise, such a disruptive technology, people will be scared. So we here in India, with the help of the ministry, with the help of manufacturers, we are ready to organize drone melas. Duration, the standard plan is duration will be 1 day, just 1 to 2 hours. Location should be close to tribal rural areas, Dhenkanal, because Dhenkanal is named after a tribal king. Audience should be school, college students, preferably tribal. Exhibitors will be drone manufacturers and drone operators. Exhibits will be static and flying displays. There will be short briefings. And if we can have our Honorable Chief Minister as the chief guest, nothing like it. We are ready to talk and plan this over. So I end my presentation, and now I will request Colonel Velan of Elina Geosystems. Now he is a retired army officer. He has worked on the NAVIC system. You know, we all talk of GPS. GPS is US. We have our own satellites orbiting, giving us ground positions, NAVIC. Unfortunately, our cell phones don't have the software to log on to that. Unfortunately, our new drone rule says all Indian drones will be encouraged to use NAVIC, the Indian NAVIC. So Colonel Velan is an expert in that, and he'll talk to you and tell you what all manufacturing facilities are possible.
Singh, good evening.
Good evening.
Wonderful talk, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I thank RWSI for giving me a chance to speak in this August forum and bring out certain very pertinent aspects which bothers the country today. As part of the think tank, as part of the intelligentsia of the country, I think the think tank group of Odisha has taken up the right subject asset in this domain. Now, let me just show another presentation and carry on with my talk. About 15 minutes I'll take. Then so kindly enable my screen sharing. I'll share the screen. Hello. May I request a host to enable screen sharing for me? You have to enable screen sharing by everyone.
In Commander SinghDeo, please do this on our behalf, please. You are also the co-host. And please limit the talk to little lesser than the duration that you indicated, 15 minutes. Because total things should be within 55 minutes or 1 hour, total.
Okay.
So kindly be aware of the time. And then Mr. SinghDeo, please help him to put the slides.
So by this thing, what is screen? I think, yeah, I'm getting screen sharing. Thanks. I hope everyone can see my screen. I'll be talking about the industrial base for the drone industry. This is an avionics industry, but in a different scale. I don't want to say that it's a smaller avionics industry. Kindly understand, drone industry makes use of electronics, makes use of navigation, makes use of everything else. But this is an industry by itself. When we say we have $11 billion industry coming up within next about 4 years' time, we need to dedicate a separate industrial base for this. Only then this industry will grow. It's something like IT industry was there in India, but only when we set up IT technology parks, the industry grew the way it has grown now. Similarly, we need to have a separate industrial base, an enabler for drones in the country. I see Odisha is best placed with the required infrastructure in terms of fiber optic links, in terms of the industrial, the IT solutions they're using. Because I've done extensive study in the mining belt of Odisha between 2012 to 2016, when I was pursuing my PhD from IIT Kharagpur. So I find that within Odisha, many things are so much streamlined then itself, not now. It was streamlined a long time back. And Odisha government or Odisha people can harness that existing infrastructure towards making a setup for drones. We need many types of industries which are edging towards the drone, like electronic systems designing, electronic manufacturing solution, navigation industry, very much required. 3D designing, printing, because entire drone can now be printed in a 3D designing factory, and a separate type of drone catering to the local conditions can be used. Same way, plastic industry. I'll talk more about it next time as I go along. I'll tell more about that towards the end of it. I'll say why we need a plastic industry to be there. Because one of my application, I had to go all the way to Taiwan to get a product, manufactured, because such a facility is not available in India. We need to have a good communication facility. We need to have programming, embedded programming, IT solutions expert associated with us. A GIS industry mapping.
Please unmute, sir.
Kanvalan, please unmute.
Please unmute.
Oh,
You're muted.
sorry. I think I've been talking about this industrial base for quite some time. We are talking about the industrial base. I think you might have heard that part.
Again, you are muted.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Hello. Now I think you'll be able to hear. We have been, we need different types of industrial bases. A $11 billion industry needs something dedicated to itself to make, to harness this $11 billion. That's what my, submission was. And we should not edge other industries towards drones. Let's say in IT industry, the electronic industry is there, it is also manufacturing a drone circuit, should not be the approach. We need to have a dedicated approach for the drone industry, the way IT was done. IT technology parks came and we had that IT revolution in the country. Same with drone technology parks are required. So that's in short. More so in terms of drone, we need micro electro and electromechanical devices to be manufactured, not available in the country anyway. We need sensor and sensor integration. Actually, this RFID-based thing has got a commonality with what is being done in Ministry of Road Transport. They are also proposing a way to track all vehicles, to track all, today it is yellow board vehicles, going to be every car, every four-wheeler on road will be monitored. So similarly, it'll go on to drone also. It is already there. The rule is already there that every drone needs to be monitored. For that, we need to have a separate industrial base to develop these circuits. What is the need of the hour? I emphasized on the drone technology park. We need a monitoring center. Already central government is funding a monitoring center to be put up for vehicles under Nirbhaya scheme. The same can be extended for a monitoring center for drones also. Then we need high precision manufacturing facility. I've explained much on this. Why we need is that such a facility is not available in the country at one place. For me, for example, I am into the navigational aspects, Navik-based monitoring in the country. We get it done from all along the country, from Gujarat to Tamil Nadu to Karnataka to Delhi. If we have everything under one roof, people will be able to get things at much faster pace. A basic facility will need only 6 to 7 crores. And then it can be set up in 6 months, followed by production in another 2 to 3 months. Even this time duration is delayed because the current COVID thing had to put about 6 months time. Otherwise, when we were doing a plan, it was within 4 to 6 months time, we could have entire thing production also ready. So, what are the areas of application of drone? Major application areas, monitoring. Could it be video camera? It could be for mining. People have talked about it. I'm just grouping them into areas of application. First area is monitoring. Next area is to carry load. This is what is coming up now in the country. In developed countries, this is already being done in terms of or courier type of thing or postal applications are there. Drones will replace human in certain activities. That's what has been highlighted about spraying of pesticides. Drone has to, only with drone we'll be able to manage this thing. Otherwise, people who are spraying pesticide, they do it for a small area for longer time. They themselves get exposed to the pesticides. Drone will be used in emergency response related activities. Odisha ODRAF is already there, which is looking into this aspect. Navigation is the core of all these areas of applications, and which implies that we need to have a very dedicated system. erstwhile GPS of America is just not suitable for this type of application. Realizing this, Government of India has put up a separate system. Today, it's got 12 satellites giving you positional services. This is fully functional from June 2019. The system is called Navik. navigation with Indian constellation of satellites. And to enable this monitoring also, we need to undertake certain studies, R&D in Indian context. These are the areas of study which is required. For example, NAVIC performance over Odisha has to be mapped. If like GPS, when they brought out GPS, they did that study in US. It was done in then Europe. It was done in Australia before it was adapted. We need to have performance over Odisha. Especially, I put that benign synclinorium for mining part. The issue here is that in the entire benign synclinorium, one of the major areas around Novamundi, there's a school in Novamundi which has got that Survey of India surveyed trig height is there, or the point is there, using which rest of the mining area is getting mapped. But we need it every 10 kilometers. Like Kaliyapani, you got what is the application Kaliyapani belt. Then if you see Kaliyapani belt, only one road, along there so many mines are there. If you really translate the references there in Novamundi to Kaliyapani, you'll go away by kilometers apart. If you put a drone which flies in that references, it'll go away. We need performance to be measured along the riverbed. Odisha has got a couple of rivers and a lot of river-based agrarian development is there. Main thing is that drone is a tool for development. It's not a tool for just for seeing what others do it. It's a source or a resource which can be used effectively for development of the state. Other studies I've just listed on it. I'll share the presentation for people. And another big thing is mapping area. Hello. So mapping needs.
Even number
Yeah, for us to have a good. What is it?
Lady talking, please stop.
Yeah, for us to have a good monitoring system, we need to have a good mapping system. That way, there in the foreign countries. For example, I put a map picture here, where along Australia they put towers which are surveyed points, and then anywhere you open up within Australia, you get these towers. Similar thing has to come up in Odisha also.
Gopali Patnaik, please mute yourself. Gopali Patnaik, please mute yourself.
Yeah, this mapping needs, when I say GIS and mapping needs a lot of emphasis. More so, this is why this needs emphasis is that we have a plan. We have so many plans are there, but industry, $11 billion industry coming up in 4 years' time, we should have had it by now. That's what, and I'm just giving certain examples there. For example, common data map sheet reference is required. More so, merging with the mines people, merging with the disaster management people, merging with the land record people. Today we don't have it. Everyone has got its own developed system, IT system, but they're all in different silos. We need to integrate them. Then we can have a good drone thing, because drone doesn't see is it a mine area or is agricultural land, or it's not restricted to this type of areas. No, so when you fly a drone, everything should get covered. Then I will talk about NAVIC. I've covered most of it. NAVIC is the most advanced system. First is GPS of US, then GLONASS of Russia. Third is NAVIC. It's better in accuracy, availability, reliability, and in integrity. And it's the only system that can give you what you want for monitoring in the country. That's the reason why our India has put up such a system. And then right now 12 satellites are there, 4 are scheduled to go up. It'll be a global system with about 24 satellites in future. For us to use NAVIC, we need to create entire user segment consisting of new hardware, software around NAVIC, the way it is there in GPS, because this GPS thing cannot be just adapted towards NAVIC. We have made it mandatory in the drone rules of 2021, the NAVIC to be used. So if Odisha government is going to go into NAVIC drone in a big way, we have to have NAVIC-based systems ready. See, why NAVIC-based system? This slide shows you. We have 4 meters accuracy, which is available in India. The system gives you 4 meters. It can be further reduced to less than a meter when in our electronics. So just tell about my company. This is at single point contact for monitoring solutions. We have been doing this work in this domain for quite some time. What I want to say is that I'll just close I'll stop the screen sharing and then show you certain circuits. For example, this circuit, no match in the world, is Indianized, is our IPR. Another young gentleman who has done PhD in antennas created this. This is the first prototype he's shown me today. And no equivalents around the world. We need to provide him a base for him to develop this into full-fledged application. This dimension only can help a drone industry. Same, this one. Say this one. The 50 mm by 50 mm. Similar things only can help. This such miniaturization can help in drone industry to grow. But if you see this one, I have to go all the way to Taiwan to manufacture this. When a similar thing is available for $2, less than $2, I have to pay $22 to get this thing done. See, one way he's charging me more money, next it's still not available in the country. Now, when I went for mass production of 1,000 numbers, he's still charging me $14. Whereas in India, if someone else can make at $1 or $2, India also can make it $1 or $2. See the proliferation that will take place. We have circuits for drone, which is our ultimate aim is to give a drone circuit with within 100 grams, 50 mm by 50 mm. So everything is possible, but we need to concentrate and put everything in one place for the technology to grow. So I think with this, I would like to conclude my small talk. Thanks once again for the opportunity.
Colonel, thank you very much. I think a lot of important knowledge has been disseminated today, and I'm sure many people would like to keep coming back to you for more. And we now have available with us Shri Ambar Dubey, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation. He is extremely important and very, very busy all the time, and very kind of him to have agreed to address us. And he just told me he's too busy, so he'll be happy if any questions are there, he'll be able to answer and clarify so that we can keep moving on. And incidentally, he is also a member of our Rotary Wing Society of India. So if there are any questions, would you kindly type it in the chat box and I will read it out.
Now I think Mr. Pushti can also can have this deliberation now. He will deliver his speech and then the chat box will open. That will be better, I think. Okay. We can invite Mr. Pushti to share his talk.
Or should we then finish off? It all depends on the availability of Shri Ambar Dubey.
Oh, I see. Then it's okay. Then kindly keep it within 10 minutes or something like that. Okay.
Then we have also Mr. Aman Johri.
Participants, kindly put your questions through the chat box, please.
Thank you so much, SinghDeo, and it's a pleasure and honor to be part of this August discussion group. I don't want to take too much time because I think most of the I was there for the last half an hour and I was watching the presentation made by Mr. SinghDeo and also with Mr. Velan. So I think most of the things are already covered. So I would rather take a few questions. SinghDeo, do you have any questions? So they'll make it a little more interesting. It's already 6:30. And I'm not that busy. We do make a pretense of being very busy, but not that busy. So it's late evening. Let people have a cup of tea and then ask some questions. Convert this more into a chat session, chai pe charcha, than one Babu giving some gyan and speeches and all that. So, SinghDeo, any 2 or 3 questions? So then I can give you more paisa vasool.
Type in the meantime. I'll ask you a question which has.
Yeah, sure.
We see some employment opportunities in 10th pass students,
right,
who are unable to study more from backward areas. So they can do the drone license and they can be employed by drone companies for doing various drone work. So this drone licensing, the cost, I was told by DGCA, they are working on it. The costs are likely to come down. So is it possible to set up a drone training establishment by anybody in Odisha where he wants to do it?
Absolutely, and it's going to be very, very simple. And as you've seen in the drone rules also, we had earlier 25 forms. So once we got a danda from the Honorable Prime Minister, you've seen this is the first legislation that has actually been repealed. Otherwise, this government is not known for repealing. I mean, they don't even change a comma or a full stop. You can blockade Delhi for the next 100 years, but we'll not change a comma or a full stop in a law or Article 370 or whatever. But in case of drones, that just shows the sheer power of drones. And drones is not a vote bank. You don't have drone companies protesting at Jantar Mantar or at Boat Club. So because the senior most leadership of the government understands the huge, tremendous, untapped value of this technology, they repealed the rules which came out just 4 months back in March. 12th of March, we released US rules. And within 2-3 months, we were wrapped and told redraft, not redraft. So we submitted a redraft and with some exemptions, and we'll give some more concessions. It was completely rejected and said, you go back to the drawing board, start with a clean sheet of paper and redraft. Okay, this is not done. Because I believe they got a lot of feedback from the industry, from academicians, from practitioners, from end users. And this also shows that the government has the humbleness and the humility to eat humble pie. Because we are all servants of the nation. So there's no shame in saying, yes, we probably made a mistake, because the previous drone rules were written in every rule is written in a context. Okay, so those rules were written in a
Amber, you've been muted by mistake.
Can you hear me now?
No, sir, you are muted.
Now we can hear.
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Or was I muted all along while I was mouth was moving?
Only last 3 or 4 seconds.
Okay. So what I was saying was, it also showcases the humbleness of the government to eat humble pie, accept feedback, accept criticism, and even repeal, not just make minor modifications or add a para or remove a para. We can remove the entire rule and denotify it and come up with a new rule. So now coming back specifically to your question about the RP2, as you know, 25 forms were there. Okay, they've been reduced. 20 or 25 forms are gone. There were 72 types of fee items depending on size and scale and this and that and company size. 72 is now down to 4. And the 4 also were linked to size, this, that, all gone. It's now just 100 rupees. 3 fee items are 100 rupees, and one for if you're setting up a drone school, which your question was, is just 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees, nothing. And 1,000 rupees is for 10 years. So effectively for setting a drone school, you just need to pay us 100 rupees per annum. That's all. Okay. So it's been heavily simplified because we want hundreds, thousands of drone schools across the country. Of course, they have to meet the training standards set by DGCA, and they are also based on ICAO norms, because ICAO is also working on training standards. So we're going to be mostly adopt that. Until such time that happens, we'll go by the DGCA norms. And anybody can apply. I mean, there's a long list of people in all schools, colleges, manufacturers, R&D centers, testing labs, startups. Anybody can apply. And if you have whatever is the standards will be released maybe within a week or 2 weeks. Okay, because the whole DGCA team is working along with the industry. So there's actually an advisory panel which is working on the training standards. So it's not in fact, there are only 3 members from DGCA and some 4 or 5 members are from the industry and trainers, drone trainers who are certified DGCA trainers. So those 8 people are developing the training standards. It's actually being developed by the industry itself, and people who actually fly and train people. So those standards should be out within a week or 10 days, definitely by mid of November. And then based on that, you can just apply and it will be moved even in the rules, there is a limit of 60 days. So within 60 days, either you'll get it or you'll get an automatic permission unless there's something very drastic which has been found by DGCA. So it's all going to be simplified. The fees is just 1,000 rupees for the government. Now your question was also about the training of the youngsters. Yeah, of course. So the minimum requirement is class 10th and 18 years of age. And after that, you take a training and you'll get a license. Even on the license, now once you see earlier you have to apply to DGCA, this, that. Now no pilot will ever come to DGCA. Under the new liberalized rules, it is the DGCA authorized flying academy which will go to the Digital Sky platform. And suppose on Friday, I complete training of 20 people. I'm the academy. I'll put up all the details which are required in Form D4, and I submit, and I pay whatever that fees, 100 rupees per pilot. So I pay the fees and fill up all the details, and then DGCA has 15 days to accept or reject. Okay, and of course, if they reject, they have to give a reason. But if they don't reject, they automatically get a certificate, a license. And if they don't respond in 15 days, on the moment, on the first minute of the 16th day, you get a platform generated, a server generated, system generated pilot license, and off you go. So it's like, that's the level of simplicity we are going for. I hope that answers the question. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. Very.
Could we now go to Mr. Pushti's presentation?
अरे साहब पुष्टि साहब करा लो मैं बाद में आ जाऊंगा जब बुला लेना मेरे को
Okay. Okay, fine. We will then ask Mr. Aman Johri to make his presentation, and let's limit it to 10 minutes. Aman?
Can someone enable screen sharing for me, please?
Just try. You should be able to do that.
No, sir. Disable attendee screen sharing. Host or enable it for me. All right, sir. I get it now. Right, sir. I hope it is visible.
Yes.
Right. Good evening, everyone. I won't take a lot of your time. I would rather, get into the Q&A session, but a little bit of proposals from our end. I'm Aman Johri. I'm the CEO of Jatayu Unmanned Systems based out of Mumbai. I'm also a lifetime member of RWSI and a helicopter pilot as well. So I bring to the table an experience from aviation, from multi-rotor flying, as well as helicopter. I was also one of the first Part 107 pilots from FA. I was trained in the US for my drone flying. I did type rating, heavier drones as well. And it was way back in 2015-16, and since then, this company. I do a lot of defense, R&D, manufacturing kind of work. Personally, I believe there's a big difference in Make in India and Made in India. And when we say India has to be a drone hub, we call it to be the drone hub of the world. That does not mean that we should just have the maximum number of drones operating in India. It also means we should be able to manufacture everything from the smallest nut and bolt to the biggest, components in drones. For example, hail today in India. I'm talking about high altitude, long endurance, something like Raptors, the size of Reapers, for example. So to reach that stage, there are some steps to progress. And from the RWSI, I would like to give a perspective of what are some of the proposals that we have in mind. We call it Drone Industry Vision Odisha. And it's really nice to see that state government is taking an active interest in, promulgating this industry and pushing it further. And like Wing Commander Deo sir said that, yesterday we spoke to the government of Madhya Pradesh on the same issues, that how to build it from, the bottom up. So we've got a multi-layer upstream proposal for all of you. That is something we can build together. Now, if you see, India today has almost 50 to 60,000, fixed-wing pilots in both private and commercial categories. Some are even furloughed due to the situation in the industry right now. But why did that happen? Why do we have a surplus of, fixed-wing pilots in India? That's because when they were very young, I'm talking about 20, 30 years ago, one of their parents or someone in their family held them by the hand, took them to these air shows. And you can ask any pilot, they would have a beautiful story of how when they were young, they got addicted to aeroplanes. They got, exposed to this industry, which is why we have these pilots. And for drones, we have to follow a similar model. We need to introduce drones not just as a subject, not just as an area of interest, but also something that children can actively work on. The reason I also personally got into drones is because from a very young age, I was involved in aero models. And I've been building aero models since I was almost 7-8 years old. So that is the kind of exposure that the government can bring to the table. We talk about some of the primary objectives, that is to build capacity within the state, out of the state, kind of, integrate not only smaller projects, but big R&D facilities and manufacturing units together, and also provide opportunities from everyone, from school students, college students, startups, R&Ds, MSMEs, and even big industries to kind of merge together and locally manufacture, locally develop, and locally deploy as well, to bring all of that under one umbrella. We are also proposing that Rotary Wing Society of India help you as policy consultants in this journey, and Jatayu, as in my company, can obviously provide all the kind of technology help that is required. I mean, it's just to start off, just to give you a brief idea of what we are trying to get into. We are proposing that 3 drone training schools be set up in the state with collaboration with some of the biggest universities. And we know that Odisha has always been about active R&D, and the state has always pushed for and always encouraged young entrepreneurs in the state. So these drone training schools can be DGCA certified, schools that are authorized to issue licenses, that kind of create not only industry ready experts, but also people who take aviation very seriously. People who understand that anything flying in the air has potential consequences if things go wrong. And if you've ever sat in a cockpit on the controls, you know that an emergency can kind of take things from bad to worse within seconds. So people who are serious, a community who is serious and has faith on not just the training standards set by the government, but also are ready to make an industry as a community a much better place to work and deploy. So that's the ethos of why drone training schools need to be set up in the state. We are proposing to set up almost 20 drone simulators in Odisha in different schools, from primary education to secondary education. And this is something that we've made some headway in. Personally, I'm involved in edutech sector in Maharashtra. And I just had a conversation this morning with a group of schools called the Cambridge Group of Schools, almost 12 schools across India, who want to introduce drones as a syllabus. We're talking to the CBSE and ICSE as well, where you can have a credit-based, subject that is introduced in schools, that not only teach what is a drone, what are the seriousness, what is some of the technologies involved, but using augmented reality and virtual reality, you can build simulators. So kids are starting from first, second grade have a kind of a hand on learning, a hand on how to fly the drones. And of course, as they grow older, they are ready to be professionals that step into the industry as people with experience. And flying is all about experience. The more experienced you are, the more number of hours you are, the better pilot you are. As simple as that. So to start off from schools, we are trying to pitch for simulators. We're talking about setting up 3 certified R&D and testing facilities within the state. Now, all of these are state-of-the-art facilities. We're talking about R&D in subsystem and component manufacturing. Basically, there's something that I'd like to bring to the table. When we say manufacturing, I agree with Colonel Velan absolutely that there are some areas where India lacks in manufacturing, where we are, I think, 7 years behind the West when it comes to technology like this, which is, in my opinion, 2 main systems, that is propulsion. We don't have motor manufacturing here, high efficiency motors that can, get applied to drones, right from agriculture drones, which are the big ones, to smaller drones that are used for security, surveillance, industrial security. We don't have the global standard in building motors in India. That is something that requires a local effort. There are reasons, because mining in India is, rare earth metal mining is restricted, not open to privatization yet. And the last law that came for mining was 2008. So it's been a long time, and some of these things need to be reviewed, but this is where we lack. And number 2, lack in communication and telemetry. So GPS was one of them, and Colonel Velan and his firm are doing a fantastic job in building, NavIC and indigenous systems. But we lack in radio communication and telephony. The list of frequencies that are restricted in India is massive. The list is very long. And, the wireless platform and the AI need to revisit these kind of frequencies. They need to allow us to do these activities. To give you some numbers, as I remember, Patnaik was asking on the chat, what are some of the numbers that you can throw? So to set up a radio telephony facility in the US, for example, we want to, and I have personally worked on NASA projects on radio telephony in my in my career, and I can tell you confidently that a radio lab can be done in $500,000 in about 4 or 5 crores of Indian rupees. You can set up a radio R&D lab that not only looks at long range communication systems, but also helps building them for drones, because drones is all about VLSI. It's about miniaturizing components. Something in India, a similar setup in India would cost you almost 25 to 30 crores just to get the ground running. To give you some numbers as well as deployment, a long-range radio that communicates between the ground and the drone for about 20-25 kilometers can cost anywhere between 12 and 15 lakhs today. Which is 5 times the cost of the drone that I used to do that operation. Just the radio. If it was manufactured in India, I could make it in less than 3 or 4 lakhs. Now, this is the difference that indigenization and miniaturization and all these concepts bring about. So we are proposing that R&D and testing facilities be set up in the state that can be used for anyone and everyone. I'll get into testing facilities in a bit, but as a part of the project, we can also organize workshops, webinars, and in fact, technical seminars. That is an important area to discuss, because most of the seminars about drones that happen in India today largely talk about the overview umbrella. They talk about everything that's good, everything that's happening, all the progress and policy, and which is great. But we really need to dive deep into some of the technical areas where we can improve and develop and get our young minds. So Rotary Wing of Society of India had a seminar with the Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation via the SAE India platform. And SAE India is one of these organizations that really dives into technology. So that is an area of focus that we really need to look at. And of course, bring the central government and state government together on some of these issues that can be tackled only through these platforms. So that's another area that we are proposing with Odisha. For your infra and capacity building, like I said, your drone training schools are for universities, drone simulators are for schools, your R&D and testing facilities are for startups, MSMEs, and bigger companies. Now, testing facility, for example, I've been a part of the policy panel for defense, where we're making defense infrastructure for drones. And one of the very clear ideas was that for a bigger drone, anything above 50 or 60 odd kilos, you would need something of a short runway, maybe 300 or 4 meters out of a runway. There are people here from the aviation fraternity who would understand that making a runway is an extremely difficult and challenging task. But land area that needs to be earmarked for purposes like these. Because if you're flying a multi-rotor and in case you have to do emergency landings, it's always good to have a clear area around, and it needs to be away from population and away from civilization and things like that. So that's a ideal testing facility we look at, where you have fire and ambulance tender ready for you. You've got battery chargers, you've got state-of-the-art all kinds of technology that is auxiliary to working of a drone is available to you there. And one of the sort of a compendium factors of a drone industry is the EV industry, and the automobile EV industry is accelerating at a phenomenal stage in India today. Just a few days ago, a sum of 1,000 crores was announced for EV manufacturers. People are getting into batteries and lithium technology. So all of that is, of course, is going to have a domino effect on the drone industry as well. Because most of these electric vehicles or drones use the similar kind of power systems. They use lithium-ion, lithium polymer batteries. So our R&D and testing facilities can look into that as well, of building power propulsion systems, NAV-IC, like Colonel Whelan said, like GPS systems, and of course, testing of a wide range of drones, from multi-rotors, quadcopters, hexacopters to fixed wing. So all of that can be a part of that, one kind of an institute. To talk about funding and timelines, of course, the other speakers have covered a lot, but this is what it would roughly take to build up, like a drone training school, which would take care of about 400 to 500 odd pilots a year, training them round the clock, building them up to aviation standards. That takes about 1.5 crore or like 1.2 crores. And that timeline can be, of course, using state policy, using the central government's help. And Amber sir is here, and he would agree with this, that when policymakers come together, there's always magic that happens. People are always forward-looking. So all of this can be set up within 4 to 5 months. Of course, it requires a lot of funding and push, and this can be both from the government and from the private side. That's something that we propose on our end. And of course, collaborations here are endless. Now, here's about the Rotary Wing Society of India. We're the apex body for helicopters in the country. We deal with air safety on a daily basis. We understand what it means for something or someone to fly in the air. And we've got experienced, really young people combined together in the drone group and the RWSI working groups. And together we have collaborations with international organizations like the HAI, the Helicopters Association International Community. We propose collaborations with all of these institutions to come together and to have application-based drones available for everyone. Here on the slide, you can see I'm talking about the Survey of India, the scheme. I'm talking
एक सेकंड अमन एक सेकंड दामोदर साहब थोड़ा म्यूट कर लीजिए दामोदर प्रधानी साहब दामोदर साहब दामोदर प्रधानी सिंहदेव साहब थोड़ा इनको कॉल कर लीजिए ना Why do they participate if they don't listen?
Aman, just unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I'm talking about the Survey of India, which under the Swamitva scheme, you have so many villages and districts to be mapped and to be ready to be mapped. I'm talking about the Aerospace Aviation Sector Skill Council. Now, with the ASC, there's something that I'm personally working very closely with, trying to build a training environment, a sort of training syllabus in local languages. Now, in the West, that is not an issue because, people say, why can't we be like the FA? Why can't we be like America or the UK? And to them, I say that the factors in India and the factors in the West are wildly different. Just based on the economies of scale, you can't do the same kind of activities in the West that you can do in India, and vice versa. We have a volume game here. We're talking about 130, 140 crore people that can be benefited by this industry alone. So with the Aviation Sector Skill Council, I'm working on projects to teach drone technology, drone piloting, all of this in regional languages. Trying to get them to learn as something as simple as how to shoot a wedding, which a lot of people would think is actually very simple, but it's actually a very complicated mission. And not just that, the fact that it can earn money and can feed an entire small family of 4 or 5 people, just this using one drone. That's the kind of advantages that we have with Skill Council. Of course, with ISRO and DRDO, we have a lot of opportunities that can be tapped into just by building capacity within the state, helping people develop drones, helping them get exposed to this industry, if nothing else. And you never know that one of the very young students can go on to change the world with their ideas and their applications, and India has always been proof of that. So these are some of the collaborations that we propose with the state government, and we'd like to take this forward in any way possible, because as RWSI, we've been consultants to a lot of other projects as well, whether it was setting up helipads or kind of opening routes for helicopters. And drones is just one of these spaces we've gotten into the last couple of years, and it shows a lot of promise. So yeah, that's about it. I won't take much more of your time. And if there are any questions, I'd love to address them, or we can take them at the end also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Aman. I think it's been a very, very encouraging talk. And again, I'm sure there will be follow-ups. We have now come to the end of the Rotary Wing Society part of the talk.
Yes, now Mr. Pushti can share his thoughts very briefly, sir, because there is no time now left. Please share your experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudesh Babu. Thank you, Mr. SinghDeo. And in fact, I was not wanting to disrupt Mr. Amber Dubey, because he was beginning to give a perspective of the government, how the DGCA under his leadership, especially on the drone front, how game-changing opportunities are being created for the sector. So, but I think I'll have to go by what has been told. But the time is very short. I don't think I'll be able to make my points fully, but let me try to do that. Thank you. My colleague Aditi is helping me on this. This is about drone for humanity. We have talked to business. Now I'll be talking about social business. How drone is going to be a game changer in development, governance, and a humanitarian action. So that's why I said that what I mean by drone ecosystem, that the first point is the drone policy. What will be the national level policy, and then areas and state and area specific local protocols for use, safeguards, and data security. Then drone knowledge. I think a lot of discussion has taken place about I'm putting it just on drone science and drone technology. And then here we were talking about drone schools. And I'm happy to share with you that the concept of drone, application of drone, the proof of concept was tried. Drone in development and drone in disaster management were proof of concept was conducted in Chilka Lake, near the Chilka Lake, soon after the cyclone Fani. And then Honorable Mr. Asit Tripathi was that time the Home Secretary, and a presentation was made, and Mr. Tripathi was very happy about it. And then in fact then there was a meeting of all the secretaries and all that, and then subsequently we have gone ahead and conducted some pilot trainings with the Skill Development Authority and the Director of Technical Education. The idea was to create this drone capability, this drone science at technology capabilities in line of drone schools in the ITIs. That is the kind of thing. And Dr. Kota Harinarayan, who was known to be the father of UAV technology in India, had blessed this kind of a concept and all that. So it started. Then come to drone machine. It's a flying machine. It has components in manufacturing, servicing. All this the ecosystem will have to address. And the miniaturization and the lightness. When we were trying to do some pilots, we have already done some 6-7 pilots, and 2 or 3 pilots were done in Odisha. And there we found that getting the lightweight battery is one of the big things, and then everything has to be brought from outside. So if you want to work on drone ecosystem, we have to look at the flying machine, components, manufacturing, servicing. Then the drone software, if that drone machine is hardware, the software, the analytics, the development, and access to those software and the development, the analytics, that's also important. We are working on these protocols, and we are also planning to put on open source this basic analysis. Then if you want to really give a boost to the drone ecosystem, then you have to look at the demand. Then how do you identify demand, create demand, both commercial and economic sector, defense. And the big demand, in my opinion, is there in the social and humanitarian sector. And then the supply, that how this supply is going to be, demand is huge, how it can be, supply can be managed through public investment, private investment, centralized investment, decentralized investment, coordinated action. All these things are important. Then comes the entrepreneurship. Like Mr. Zori was mentioning, I am of the opinion that a drone is not an extremely high technology. It's a fairly moderate technology device, and then the drone is also a low investment enterprise building. So in fact, I'm conceptualizing a called own your drone scheme kind of thing. If the MSMEs can create a own your drone schemes, people can own drones, they can become pilots, they can also become analytics. Their training modules are developing, and then there will be licensing protocols are simplified now. So you can, in a very short time, you can create a very appropriate enabling environment, and then do things in local, and then you get connected with the national policies and guidelines, and then go global. So I see a great opportunity for Odisha being the drone capital of India, and maybe India will be the drone capital of the world. That is the kind of thing, and Prime Minister is very sincerely pursuing, and this is one of the things. I'm in touch with the Prime Minister's office, and they encourage that the application of drone in the social sector and the humanitarian sector must be given a boost. And in fact, I'm happy that Joint Secretary Mr. Amber Dubai is telling that the ministry is geared up to give a boost to the sector. Then the little bit of drone and allied technology, if you have to make, it can help the sensitive risk-informed decision making in the development governance. It can make geospatial data to understand existing emergency and emerging risks. Risk assessment can be done very well. Like I'll give a very small example that there is every flood, monsoon season, there are floods, and floods are happened by the breach of the embankments. If the embankment survey can be done before the monsoon, then you will be able to know what are the weak spots, because the embankments are breached by people and breached by natural process of decay. So if those things can be done and then repair work is done, so you can very significant manner, you can reduce the flood risk. And the cyclone, when we were able to know the cyclone, so you can make a surveillance system, then you can get the people to the cyclone shelters, you can get the animals to the upland. There are so many things that you can do, and it can be also a huge application in the agriculture sector and drought in the forest sector. In fact, we are discussing with the government of Odisha about the Similpal forest fire, and we are telling that how drones can help them in creating the appropriate surveillance system, so that they can manage this thing in future. And the soil erosion is, although it's not a very big problem in Odisha, but soil erosion is something which can be, landslide soil erosions can also be detected by the application of drone. But embankment surveillance is a big thing that can happen in Odisha, and the drones can be used for damage assessment. We have done a few pilots, and we have developed a protocol. We are making out quantitative and qualitative analysis of various types of damages. But this is happening in a pilot scale in the limited area. But if it was to go to scale, then we have to really work with the system, with the public system, and with the collaborative process. So NDMA is finding very big interest in the approach. We are working with the Indian Institute of Science, their Aeronautics and Innovation Center of Innovation, and the NIDM has already used our protocols to offer training programs, and I've already offered about 4 to 5 training programs to the state government officials of 4 states: Karnataka, Uttarakhand, and Madhya Pradesh, like that. And so these are gradually gaining momentum. People are beginning to appreciate. So therefore, my submission would be that let us go deep into, make a deep dive, and you can really, you'll be surprised the power of drone. So huge, and it, like today there is a disaster. Your Prime Minister is traveling flying in a helicopter to make a surveillance. Chief Minister is flying in a helicopter to make a surveillance. But the drones can give you the live stream. It will fly and it will give the pictures on the live stream. Chief Minister can see from his cabin. His chamber. He can see what are the type of disasters and all that. And we have tested that drones can even give you geotagged information, number of houses, number of boats destroyed, number of trees, now the size of the road, the Anganwadi center, the health centers, marketplace, all, you name any level of the features that can be mapped and that can be quantified, and then the assessment is possible. So the power of drone is immense and huge, and this need to be popularized. And the skill set is also not very complex. It is easily deliverable. So we have to really work on training people, setting up drone schools in the collaborative manner with the government. And I'll be pitching for all ITIs to be the place for setting up drone schools, and then the drone, so that the knowledge, technology, and then my submission will be that let us think in terms of creating special economic zone for drones, where you will have all drone components can be manufactured, assembly facilities, maintenance facility can be created, so that you create a technology culture. And Odisha should be the frontier, as Mr. SinghDeo was mentioning, that Odisha offers a tremendous opportunities, because we have got only 4 red dots, but we can really work on creating these test centers and drone facilitation centers and all that, with the government rules, regulations becoming simpler and supportive. I think Odisha has a chance to bring a huge intervention in the knowledge and skill development pertaining to drone, both hardware and software, and application. Popularizing drone in various applications can be encouraged, and the few things that has been done in a very innovative way by the government in Odisha, by both the NGOs and the government of Odisha, I think this is remarkable. We are beginning to work with some of the universities in Odisha. So this can really, if it done seriously and sincerely, it can really be a game changer. Thank you very much. Given little more time, I would have gone into more details. This is a kind of a conceptual framework under which you have Drone for Humanity platform of work. This is a non-profit work. We work with the drone startups, we work with the knowledge centers, we work with the local community organizations, and the humanitarian organizations and development organizations, like who work in the social sector and disaster management sector. This is the platform that we are working, and I would like to pursue this discussion in a given opportunity in the future in much more detailed manner. Thank you very much. This presentation is available for sharing. It can be accessed by, you can send me a communication, or I'll share it with the think tank and they can circulate and distribute it. And any clarification, I'll be very happy to provide, both online and offline. I'm sorry I had to, because of my intervention, because of my time, probably Mr. Sudesh Patnaik had to cut short Mr. Ambar Dube's intervention, which is very important. I apologize to Mr. Ambar Dube, and please, I invite him to come back again to give us more concrete advice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This particular aspect of humanitarian service of using drone needs another specific session altogether. Now, I think there is no such valid, I think, important query in the chat box. We can now go for request Mr. Vivek Patnaik to give his concluding remarks. We are waiting for that. Mr. Vivek Patnaik, sir. And I must thank Wing Commander Mr. SinghDeo for moderating so far. Very nicely done, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, Vivek Patnaik, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's very important. Am I also visible?
Yes, you are very much visible.
Good. Well, this was a very comprehensive webinar on the subject of drones. And I find a large number of engineering students attended this. And I found that the number went right up to 77 or so. One of the
84, sir, 84 at a particular time.
That's true. That's true. You see, well, I'm almost nearing the age of 80, and I have seen a lot of youngsters over here and elderly people. I think more elderly person in this crowd is probably Mr. D.K. Rai. I thought of giving a perspective after hearing everything. You see, human beings have always wondered how the birds fly. From mythology, one knows how flying was captured the imagination of human race. One big development took place when hot air balloon started carrying human beings in 1783. Just imagine, which actually sparked off what they call cross English Channel flying to balloon. Napoleon, if you recollect, the great Napoleon, finding the naval supremacy of Britain unbeatable, thought of invading England with balloon carrying his troops. Although this idea never materialized, but in the Franco-Prussian War, the balloon was used to observe the troop deployment of the enemy. Just imagine, when was the Franco-Prussian War took place? In 19th century, the dirigible came into being. Zeppelin was one of the dirigibles. I don't know whether youngsters have heard of Zeppelin. It's a carrier of passengers in Europe before the aircraft arrived. And it continued to carry passengers along with the aircraft till 1937, when then the Hindenburg accident took place in New Jersey. Then came the Sikorsky's, the father of the helicopter. We have the wing commander SinghDeo. And the concept of rotary wing came from the single engine to twin engine, then triple engine to four engine, from narrow body to wide body, from piston engine to turbine, well, from subsonic to supersonic. Those who have flown Concorde must have experienced that. Now, hypersonic is also on the drawing board. And you have just seen suborbital flights. The use of fuel has also undergone changes. From fossil fuel, people have gone to hybrid fossil with biofuel. Solar energy has propelled aircraft. It has circumvented the world a few years ago. There is a Swiss pilot who has done it. Renewable batteries will be used also. Under the Chicago Convention, interestingly, in 1944, because I belong to that era, when the Chicago Conventions started and how the civil aviation grew. Incidentally, pilotless aircraft was under restraint. With passage of time, the unmanned air vehicle UAV has come into reality. Way back in 2005, subject was discussed in International Civil Aviation Organization. Well, I don't want to go into history of that. It's very interesting. A circular was issued quite later, 6 years later, which I'll let us share with the. I'm sure Mr. SinghDeo must have read it. Subsequent model regulation was